So much for speaking to me. I am
Thank,
fascinated by you and your story
thank
and
you.
this show. So we've established that you're a huge fan of wrestling, and that led you into the announcer role. You're
Yeah.
essentially a storyteller, but it takes art in order to do that. Can you
Yeah.
talk about learning of the storytelling and crafting that and becoming the announcer that you are today?
So I got into this by working for Harley Race Pro Wrestling. That's World League Wrestling in Missouri. I got that
Mhm.
job by calling them and leaving voicemails 5 days a week. And during my Best Buy job, 12 hours a day shifts. And I was just leaving voicemails in hopes that he'd call me back. He was going on my Zoo TV, which is where the Mizzou Tigers play football. And so
Mhm.
he needed a play by play guy. I may have lied to him and said I called some matches before that, but I
Right.
didn't. So I just went in there and did it. And I also called sports before that with Carbondale, the Southern Illinois Salukis. So I had a little bit of a background. But yeah, once we got in there, it was like the most natural thing I've ever done. And
Right.
I love wrestling. I try to look at the story and the direction the characters want to go. And I know them personally. So I
Mhm.
know where they want to go. And I try to portray that story between the good versus evil between them, you know?
Wonderful. So what's always fascinated me, as you said, you're the storyteller. You
Mhm.
work hand in hand with the wrestlers kind of to plot
Yeah.
out the staging of it. So
Yes.
is it so what the full story is going to be completely beforehand, but how much the in between time between crafting, the good guy has the upper hand versus the bad guy?
So with micro wrestling, because we just do show up to show up to show, like we have
Hmm.
pay-per-views we do, and there's a story in those. But the live shows that we do, they're in the ring every night. It's a different card, and I have to be the one that puts a story together. Luckily for me, we got Pinky and Psycho, who are a real couple in real life. We got
Hmm.
we got Suave and Ben Urkel, who are actually brothers in real life. So there's a lot that I can work with on that. And I tell jokes. Like the first match, you have to break the ice
Right.
because people come for the little people, they stay for the wrestling. And I find that there's so many phobias of little people and so many people that are like timid for little people. So in the first match with little Lex, for example, she does a reverse Irish whip and a big kick, big boot to the face, right? Reverse Irish whip. Oh, the size 2 right to the skull. You could buy those shoes at Build-A-Bear. Tell them Ivar sent you, and you make them laugh and break that ice, and now they're with you the whole night, on that ride. Once you
Right.
break that ice, you got them.
Now, why would you have the micro wrestling? You've trained with the Harley Race Wrestling School. So was it
Yes.
just a better fit for you being in the micro wrestling?
So I worked for Harley Race, and it was a great avenue to get experience. He was literally, I was in a studio announcing these on a screen, and he was right behind me, Leland Race, his son. So every commercial break, if I messed up, he was right there. So I learned really quick how to properly call a match and everything else. I would get paid like $50. I'd get paid gas money. So the main reason why I joined Micro was to do this as a career. I thought this was an avenue to get out there and do this full time, and it was, but I didn't really get paid. And I was literally working my job, driving an hour after work every other day, like 2 times a week, 3 times a week. And I would work the show on Saturday and I would announce at the studio on Wednesday. And I was driving an hour there, hour back. It was all on my dime working at Best Buy, which I wasn't very poor. I was very poor. So, but you just do what you got to do
Right.
to grind it out, in hopes that it's going to pay off, you know?
So we have to go to the transition of announcer. You want to be a wrestler naturally. That is
Yeah.
something that you always wanted to do. However, you do have IO or brittle bone syndrome.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, wow.
so I said it correctly, right?
Oh,
Hopefully.
I
Oh, I'm
osteogenesis
sorry.
imperfecta.
I'm dyslexic. I
You're
turn
good.
everything around. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So that kind of put a damper on those dreams.
Yeah.
But within this show, we do see you wanting to still do a match some way, somehow.
Yeah.
Can you talk about even though you have this, how your attempt to overcome it?
So I live my life like Bubble Boy, my whole
Mhm.
entire life. My grandma broke my leg by changing my diaper. So, I mean, like, I've always lived like Bubble Boy. Now, when I was late teenage years, I started dropping a lot of weight and working out heavy, which helped my bones and my legs. Now, I'm right now 30 years old. I'm in the best shape of my whole life. It's not going to get any better than where I'm at now. I hurt bad every day.
Mhm.
So, your mind starts thinking maybe you can, maybe you could do something, like maybe your body can give you one night, and that's been my dream since I was a kid. When I call these matches every night, I live vicariously through the guys in the ring. So I'm calling these matches and putting myself in their mind, their character. Zach Presley, for example, I get into it when he's out there. He's a big baby face. He's awesome. And he's getting the crowd going. He's doing his thing. And I'm like, Elvis Presley never paid a cent of child support, but he turned out okay. Stuff like that. And I'm trying to tell the story that I would think they would want their character to go and the avenue that they want their character to be portrayed. Um, but I live vicariously through them every night, and your mind starts when you're getting in this shape that I'm in now. I'm not in great shape, but your mind starts thinking maybe, just maybe, and
Right.
it's now or never for my body, because I'm not going to
Right.
be in this kind of shape ever again.
So with this show, it gives you an opportunity to maybe get into the ring, figure that out, but it also showcases who you are as a person. What I want to know is, what is it that when they sat you down to explain the show to you, that you was important that people would know?
So what I want people to know is the gruelingness of this job. I want people to have a respect for, even if they don't like wrestling, I want them to have a respect for what we do. These guys do 550 shows a year between two groups. It's not just the body pain and the athleticism and the gruelingness of the job, because these guys are carrying posts that weigh double their body weight every night and tearing it down every night. But
Mhm.
what I want people to gather is when these wrestlers are on the road 550 shows a year, there's no Thanksgiving, there's no birthdays, there's no anniversaries. You got to find time in the middle of the job to have a life like that. And it's hard to explain that to your family. It's hard to try to now. It's a lot easier now to explain that to your family because now they see this discovery thing, and there's actually like visuals to the grind, right? And before there wasn't anything like that. They just thought they don't see the crowds every night, so they think we're playing wrestling, and we're just missing all this time with no reward. We know there's a reward, right? But
Right.
outside looking in, it's just looking like you're missing all this time. And I hope there's a level of respect for these guys and gals after the show, and I hope they inspire people that are disabled.
Right. Do you think that we had WWE, WWF for many decades with the
Mhm.
resurgence of AEW that kind of puts less people kind of a negative light on wrestling in terms of, oh, you want to be a wrestler. When
Yeah.
those companies are in the spotlight, have you seen the difference of reactions over the years?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's because of confidence, not just me, but confidence with the wrestlers themselves. They have
Mhm.
dove in head first into the gimmick. Now, so I'm talking to you about 550 shows a year, right?
Mhm.
So when you're doing 550 shows a year, that's 250, 200 days a year that you're living the gimmick. So when you're living it every night, wrestling somebody different every night, you get good really fast. And now we're at the level where these guys, when their music hits, they are the gimmick, they are the character, and they're not Zach Presley from such and such Tennessee. No, he's like the unclaimed child. He is, the end all be all when he's out there. And I love watching from 2 years, 3 years ago to now in the progression, adding Cody Hawk as a trainer, adding Jason Sereno as our PR guy, and helping with the promos and everything and the progression of where we are now to where we started. It is a spectacle now. It's not just a wrestling show.
Right. With this show, with Big Little Brawlers, I was wondering, how do you show people your life, but also balance between keeping what you need to private?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing right there. My dad told me this. He said it to me best before Discovery or any of this happened. He said, between me and my wife in our marriage and in our personal lives, you have to be able to keep one on one and one on the other, and you have to be able to have time for both. So you have to balance. I can't just live the gimmick. Some guys do live the gimmick full time in
Mhm.
wrestling. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not saying any names, but some people live it full time and it ruins their life. Some people, so you have to be able to turn it off. You have to be able to have conversations with your spouse and have that family time. And it's almost like you have to have two sides and you have to have a shut off valve. If you don't have a shut off valve, you'll run yourself into the ground.
Did you learn anything differently about yourself that you haven't learned before during filming process? Because there's a lot of talking in interviews.
Yeah, I learned that I can be a morning person if prompted to be, you know, but it's just grueling. I mean, it's what I've always done anyway, and I love it. But it's also a lot more work because we're doing it now for Jack and we're doing it for Discovery. So it's two different things. But I love being in front of the camera. I love talking to people. I love entertaining people. There's days when I don't feel like doing it. There's days like anybody would feel like, like getting up and doing it. But I know in the back of my mind, my purpose is to inspire and lift people up. And I want to be that for people.
How do you find the balance for yourself? Because now you're dealing with the cameras, you're on the road, wrestling, there's so many things you're juggling.
Yeah. So trying to find balance for myself, you got to just try to distinguish the times. Like whenever I'm doing the show, I'm all in as Ivar. The moment the show's over with, I go back to my camper. I take my camper on the road with my wife, and we do that. We paid for a camper on the road. So we not to get away from people, not to make anybody feel bad or nothing like that. We did
Mhm.
that so I could distinguish my time in micro and my time with her. So when the show's over with and it's done, I clock out, I go into my camper, and I am not Ivar. I don't touch my phone. I don't do anything at the nighttime. Like I don't. You have to have that downtime with your
Right.
wife. You have to be able to distinguish Dylan from Ivar.
Now, you talked about in the show how she's helped you a lot. Also, physically, she's helped you. Can you talk about that support of having someone on the road with you?
Not just for me, but for everybody. She is the end all be all, not only to me, but to everybody on the road.
Mhm.
She is the mom of everybody on the road. She's the nicest person you'll ever meet in your life. I'll get, sometimes I'll be angry at something that happened, or somebody will go off on me, or my boss could be angry at me, or whatever. She is the rock that pulls me back and, like, don't you say the wrong thing. Don't you do this. Don't you? She's really kind of been the focal point and the leader of this entire thing, and her empathy level for everybody is 10 out of 10. She all the micros, a lot of them call her mom. She kind of takes care of everybody. So she is probably the biggest hearted person in this whole company, and anybody else that disagrees is wrong. So
So I have to wonder also, why would you agree to kind of be on the show? You're also the voice and the leader of it in a way. So what was it about this show? Because I'm sure there are plenty other reality shows out there, but why this particular one?
because it's all my brothers and sisters and my family involved, and it's the company that I helped from the ground up. I really put all of us did a lot of work and grind into this. We all feel like, even though we're not Jack and we're not the owner of this, we all feel like we are a big part of it, like it's our company. I mean, everybody cares about the name Micro Wrestling. That's the biggest part. That's the biggest part right there, is everybody involved doesn't want to disrespect or tamper the name of micro wrestling, and everybody cares. And that's why it's so successful. And that's why I want to be a part of this, is because everybody gives their 10 out of 10, no matter how bad they're hurting. I put myself together every night before the concert like Mr. Potato Head. I do KT tape every night. I yoga stretch every night. And people don't realize what we do to go out there, you know?
Mhm. Okay. And then lastly, what I was wondering is with this show, are you prepared for now there's going to be more eyes on you? Now people
Yep.
are going to be coming up to you even more and things could get, they know you, but also at the same time, that downtime. So are you prepared for that?
It's scary, and I'm as prepared as one can be. We've already kind of like been in the spotlight with Micro, with the TikTok and the Instagram following. This is a
Mhm.
whole nother level, a whole nother ball game. But it's what we've all been asking for. It's what we've all been wanting our whole lives. And I mean, on one hand, it's scary because you know that whatever time you had is going to be dwindled. But on the other side, it's an opportunity to inspire people even more and reach people that you wouldn't have reached otherwise.
And you talked about traveling a lot. Is there a particular favorite town that you've been to?
We love the tour in Florida. Like I
Mm.
have my own camper. It's a micro camper, and when we come down, me and my wife, we always do like a campground in Florida near the venue, or we stay near like the venue itself. So when that happens, there's always like a beach or something nearby. We're big fans of the beach.
Oh, and then one more thing of from anything that this show probably didn't get to show, is there anything that you want to tell the fans that they may have not seen about you?
Uh, what they haven't seen about me is the grind behind the scenes, what I've had to give to do this, the fact that outside of my wife and my family, I live, sleep, eat, and breathe professional wrestling, and I have my entire life. And I give you guys at the come to the show, I give you everything I have. And there's days when I can't walk to the bathroom, but you guys make it worth it.
Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you.